Greetings, grade 11, and welcome to your very first class in economics for the batch 2020. I am Mr. Prafulla Mani Pradhan. You can call me Mr. Pradhan, and I shall be teaching you economics this year. The rules in my class is quite simple. I would expect you to come with your notepads, your pen and paper. If you have your textbooks with you, please bring your textbooks along. At the end of every class, I will be setting you assignments and work, and some of these assignments would also be reading assignments. So I would expect you to have read the assignment and done your work before you come for the next class. At the same time, a student in grade 11 is expected to put in a fair amount of work in terms of reading. You should be able to build your vocabulary in terms of the new subject that you are learning, and I would expect that you substantiate. Substantiate means that you increase and you substitute also the work that I am giving you along with your own personal reading. You must read a lot. So let us get started with our first lesson. The objective of today's lesson is to know the meaning and the definition of economics and economy. I would also be explaining to you the meaning of systems and the type of systems. We shall be understanding what a social science is and who an economist is. They say that economics is a study. It is a social science that studies economic activities in an economic system. This definition makes use of three very significant terms. They are an economic system, economic activities, and social science. And now let us try to find out what each of these things mean. First and foremost, I would like you to take a pen and paper and pause this presentation for 5 minutes and try to remember and write down all the different things we would call a system. In other words, have a look around and see what are things, what are the daily things that you see around which you would call a system. Take 5 minutes and jot down your answer. Now, some of the common words that may have come up is, number one, a music system. You might even have come up with a computer system, a digestive system, a solar system, an ecosystem, and some of you may even have said a mobile phone system. Now let us analyze a music system. I would like you to pause once more this presentation, 5 minutes, and list out all the different parts that you feel exists in a music system. Now there are three types of music system that I've shown in the picture. That one of them is a very old music system which is called a gramophone. The second one is something that is quite popular in most houses, but at the same time they are also becoming rare. We call it a hi-fi system. And the third one is something that is quite common. It is a iPod, or you can call it a MP3 player with headphones which you can plug in your ears and listen to the music. Now what are the components? The three systems, what basic components do you see? Please list them. Now I wonder if you were able to notice that all music system will definitely have a component that allows power to be fed in. In the gramophone, in the olden days, there was a handle which had to be turned to feed the power from which music could be turned out. In the modern hi-fi system, which is the middle picture, normally the power input would be through a plug and socket which came in through an electrical connection. In most of the MP3 players, there is normally a battery or a small power unit that allows that to be chargeable, which can feed in the power. So normally, if the battery runs out, your music system stops running too. The second component that all three systems that you see would have is a device to store music. In the gramophone, we normally had a small disc which was called a record player. In the hi-fi system, you either had a CD, a cassette, a DVD, something that would store music for you. In the MP3 player, you normally have a chip which stores music in an MP3 format and you can play the music. In the same way, all the three components also have a system or a component that allows you to throw the sound. In the gramophone, you have the long bell or bell-like structure from which the sound would come out. In the hi-fi system, you normally had the speakers. In an MP3 player, you normally had the earphones through which the music came out. Now you can also try the same exercise with a computer system. The first picture shows you the first generation of computers. In the olden days, the computers would be in fact installed in a very big building. The input devices consisted of an entire room. The recording devices used to be in another building, and the output devices would be in another building. In the middle picture, we see a PC. The PC is much smaller, but at the same time, it looks slightly different from the third picture, which shows a laptop. Now, even in a computer system, the components of the computer system, even though all the three computers look very different, are all the same. Number one, the computer system will always have an input device. At the same time, they will also have a processing device, and they will also have an output screen or through a printer, or some way the computer would be able to send out whatever data it has compiled and processed. Now, I would like you to pause this presentation once more and try to find out the similarities and the differences between the old and the new devices. I have already explained the similarities between the old devices, but what made the old and the new devices different from one another? Why is that a gramophone is different from an MP3 player, even though the components of the system are the same? What are the differences between the old first generation computer and this new laptops, which are small and sleek, and what makes the different computer systems different between the old ones and the new ones, even though the components are the same inside? So pause the present and record whatever you feel are important. Now, do you notice that the similarity between all the systems, whether it is old or new, is that all of them had the same basic components. The music system, all of them had a power input, a storing input, and an output device. Even the computer had the same components. They had an input, processing, and an output device. Also, you must have noticed, very importantly, that the different devices that you have seen, whether they are old or new, had the same purpose. That each and every one of the music, their purpose was to play a sound. In the same way, for the computer, no matter how big or small or old or new they may have been, the purpose of the computer system was to compute. At the same time, the reason why they looked so different was that every time there was progress and scientific technology improved, the devices became more small, powerful, and the word to explain something which has become small and powerful is that they have become more and more efficient as the years have gone by. So therefore, from our discussion, we can now explain what a system is. A system is a set of things that work together as a part of a mechanism, or it works as an interconnected network, or it works together as a complex whole. It works with a set of principles or procedures, and it could be principles or procedures according to which something is done. It is an organized method or a scheme of doing things. And third, a system will always have a simple purpose. So keeping that in mind, around the world, in the world that we live in, there are different types of systems. The first type of systems that we see are designed systems. These are man-made and these are designed by humans, like computers, phones, music systems, and Xeroxing machines. At the same time, there are natural systems. They are systems that have been evolved by nature. These include the solar system, the digestive system, the ecosystem, the respiratory system. And the third are systems that have been developed naturally or that have been developed by humans and are called a social system. These include the political system, which comprises of the parliament, it comprises of the Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha. Then we have the judicial system, which includes all the regulators of law and the mechanism that makes the laws, that implements the laws. And at the same time, we have an anthropological system, and also an economic system comes under a social system. So what is an economic system? An economic system is a social system, and this social system has the responsibility of making the material requisites of day-to-day life. Requisites means requirements, and these are made in the form of goods and services that directly or indirectly satisfies human wants. So an economic system is a social system. It is a system that has been developed by the society, and the purpose of the social system is to make the material goods and services that fulfill the human wants directly or indirectly. And economics is a study, it is a subject, it is a social science that studies how an economic system works. And in other words, economics is a social science that studies all the economic activities in an economic system. Now, a very pertinent question that arises are, what are economic activities? Are economic activities different from the daily activities that we do? The answer is yes. Economic activities is specifically those activities that are concerned with the satisfaction of human wants. Those are the activities that are concerned with the earning of money and wealth. It is those activities that are concerned with the production, consumption, and distribution of economic goods. And all other activities that do not satisfy the three conditions are known as non-economic activities. In other words, non-economic activities are any activities that are not concerned with money and wealth. For example, the service or the love and affection that your parents show towards you, those are non-economic activities. If you do a social service, that is a non-economic activity. If you have a political ideal, if you believe in something political, if you believe in a certain religion and you carry out a religious activity, if you would love or enjoy playing a certain sport or a certain activity and you do that every day, those are non-economic activities. And something that is very important is that in economics, we study only economic activities. Now, I told you that economics is a social science. So what exactly is a social science? How does social science become different from any other kind of study? A social science is a scientific study of human society and human relationships. However, we call it a science because the method of study is scientific. In a scientific study, we observe, we do controlled experiments, we develop hypotheses and develop a theory. Similarly, in social science, we study activities in a scientific manner of scientific observation, through measurement, through controlled experiment, and then we formulate, test, and modify hypothesis, and then we develop a theory. So economics is a social science that studies only economic activities in an economic system. A person or a practitioner who studies or practices the social discipline of economics is known as an economist. An economist is the individual who also studies, develops, and applies theories and concepts from economics and writes about economic policy. An economist is an expert who studies the relationship between the society's resources and its production or output. Or economists study the societies ranging from small and local communities to entire nations and even the global economy. So therefore, when we talk about, to summarize, when we talk about economics, we say economics is a social science that studies the human activities that are related with economics, while an economy is a social system whose simple purpose is to meet the material requisites of day-to-day life. So here ends our first lesson in economics. I would like you to try and answer the following questions in your exercise book. These are given as questions in this last slide. Please study it, write it down, and write the answers to those questions. So thank you. Keep yourself safe until